Good afternoon, everybody. You are signing on to the Career Readiness Leaders Network session for February 8th, 2022. I'm sure there will be more folks that are joining us in the next couple of minutes. While we're waiting, if you want to go ahead and click to the next slide. How are you feeling today? I can imagine there are all kinds of different thoughts and feelings about your day today, depending on whether you've had school recently or not had school recently. So in the chat, if you would, everybody take a look at our faces here and pick which one describes how you're feeling today. So far, I see a 9, a 12, a couple of 1s. And if you're just joining us, if you would you please choose a number of the facial expression that best matches your feelings today and share with us in the chat. You can just put the number. I like 6, and underneath my hands a 5. Got some 10s and 12s and a 9. Several 12s, it seems like. Which is good. 12's a happy face. 10 looks confused, maybe. A little punch drunk, tired towards the end of the day. Lots of 1s. We're doing okay. We'll give another couple of minutes for everybody to continue to join us. And if you've just jumped on, we're asking you how you're feeling today. So just pick a number for the facial expression that best matches your current mood. Several 1s seem to be showing up.
Less than 250 pounds.
There you go. What's in your coffee brand if you have chosen a 12 and somebody's responded, extra strong Yemeni coffee? We have just a couple more. Maybe we'll wait about another 30 seconds or so before we move on. Trying to find out how everybody's feeling today. If you've just signed on, we're just going to take another couple of seconds. Let us know how you're feeling based on the facial expressions. And you can just put that number in the chat for us. We have a 9. I'm not sure how to describe number 9. It looks like somebody just got some news they don't know how to respond to. All right, if we would advance a slide, please. I'm going to introduce everyone today. My name's Tasha Wary. I am the Executive Director of Building Bridges to Careers. I'm your MC for the day. So you'll be hearing from me as we introduce all the rest of the parts. We've got several folks from the Ohio Department of Education with us here today. Cassie Palsgrove is the director. Kayla Mack is also with us today. Michelle Washington, Travis Taylor, Sarah Watson, Brenna Bartlett, and Crystal Dortch are all with us from the Ohio Department of Education. Amy Harker is also with us, and she's from the Educational Service Center of Northeast Ohio, and John Hambrick as well, also from an Educational Service Center, but he's in Central Ohio. Welcome, everybody. This is our agenda. Just briefly, we are going to continue through our 3 items of career awareness and exploration and planning. What we're focusing on today is implementing middle school career exploration courses really zeroing in on that career exploration part of this work. We have already gone through our introductions, and our main topic will actually highlight 2 different schools and the way in which they are implementing career exploration courses. Then we'll move in and discuss briefly our pain point for this week or this month is tech cred. And then, as always, there are surveys, and we'd love for you to be able to give your feedback at the end. And a special announcement, there's a call for proposal for this summer, one of the conferences that is happening this summer. So more information on that. Before we move into our actual information today, we've got a couple questions. We want to find out who is with us in our audience today. So Cassie Paulsgrove is going to put up a Mentimeter. We've just recently learned how to use this. During our last session, we had a group that introduced this to us. So you will find in the chat, I believe, you can either use the QR code here to access, or you can click in the chat. You can see it says www.menti.com, and you can click on there to get to the 2 places where you can respond. So if you would click on that or use the QR code and let us know who you are, so we can get a real good idea of who is participating in today's meeting. And actually, we should be seeing on the screen. There we go. There it is. Thanks, Cassie. So far we've got some nonprofit folks and school counselors. We have a wide swath of folks here with us today. Educational service centers. Again, if you're having trouble finding the Mentimeter, you can either go to the chat. There's a link there that Cassie Paulsgrove added that you can click on to get to where you actually respond to the survey. And then you can just click on the item that belongs with your particular role that you're representing here today. We really wanted to do this so that everyone on the call can get a sense of who all is listening, and it helps us know who we're reaching to in regards to who we've been encouraging to participate. Looks like we have a lot of career technical education folks with us and a lot of other. We'll give just another 30 seconds or so for everyone to find the link for this to be able to go over and answer a question. And so now if you click the link and go back to the voting, we should be moving toward, go to slide. The next question, which is, how does your middle school or the middle schools you work with implement career exploration for students? So the new question should be up there, and you can choose one of those options and hit submit. And then Cassie will again share her screen so we can see what's going on in terms of career exploration in our middle schools. Again, if you need to access the question, you can go to our chat box, and Cassie has twice put in there a link for you to click on so that you can respond. We've got several folks that actually have a specific course during the day, and there are school counselor visits to classes. Several of you are hosting career days. You have an advising or a focus period. And Sandy Dowda saying the link will not work. So the link, when you click it, actually should open in a new tab. You could try right-clicking on the link and ask it to open in a new tab or a new window. See if that helps out, Sandy and Renee.
It did work for me, so I think just try again.
Hovering over it and right-clicking allows for or you can copy the linked address and paste in a new window. That might work as well. So we've got, looks like school counselor visits to classes is tying with a specific course during the school day, as well as hosting career day. So there's a variety of things that are going on in our schools. All right, thanks everybody. So let's go back to our course options overview. Cassie actually is going to explain these three types, but we wanted to give everybody a sense of the types of courses that are actually being worked into schedules at middle schools around the state. So Cassie, if you would take a moment to explain the different types of courses that are offered at this level.
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks so much, Tasha, for leading the introduction activity. You know, one of the pieces of feedback that the planning committee got was often we start our career readiness leaders meetups with breakout sessions, so you can have some small group discussion. So we thought we would try more of a large group survey as kind of that form of connecting with one another. So we'll try on some different things, but again, at the end, we'd love to hear your feedback on which you prefer. So, you know, if you enjoyed that kind of survey activity more so than the breakout sessions, would love to get your feedback on that towards the end. So thank you very much for introducing our main topic for today, which is about course implementation, which it sounds like many of you on the call either work with schools that do have a specific middle school course, or, you know, have some type of activity that maybe could lead to a middle school course in the future. And again, one of the things that we heard in your survey feedback was we need some help with how this can look in the middle school, whether it's a specific course or not. So we thought today we'd show you a few examples and invite some experts to share with you exactly how they're operationalizing their career readiness coursework in the middle school. And so when we kind of did, and I say this not to make it so that you have to use this as your way of implementing middle school career awareness and exploration activities, but as we were looking at the EMIS manual to kind of help guide you all as to what course selections you could theoretically make using that as a guidebook, there were really three natural course codes that came to the surface. So if your EMIS coordinator is ever asking you, hey, what do we want to code this? Here's some of our more specific course numbers and requirements for teachers. So the first one is all around a very general career exploration course code. Basically, the course description that exists in the EMIS manual for that is scheduled time for researching career options. I think you all easily, especially from your field, your seats that you're in, can easily see how that course could be applied in the middle school for any of these career readiness initiatives that you're trying to get up off the ground or enhance with your current programming. The good news is that because this is an elective credit type of course, there are just very general teacher licensure requirements, meaning any licensed educator would be able to teach that course because of the elective nature of the course. So hopefully, Ruth, that kind of answers your question. So you're going to hear today from Noble Local Schools. They're going to share with you a little bit about their program and how they're leveraging this particular course, and from the teacher that is teaching that course. And she'll share with you a little bit about her licensure as well. The next way that you can kind of operationalize a career course in a middle school is by using the Career Technical Education Career Connections course code. Now, a lot of school districts across the state of Ohio have at least one career technical education pathway that's being offered at the high school that could open the door for allowing the use of this particular course code. And so you're going to hear today from Ohio Virtual Academy, who is leveraging this Career Technical Education Career Connections course code because they have teachers who are CTE certified or validated in order to be able to offer this course. They're going to talk with you a little bit about how they do this with their middle school students. And basically, there's an extensive course description that you could use with your students if you wanted, and we can point you to where those course descriptions live. But basically, this course, the Career Connections course, students are to investigate how classroom learning translates into marketable skills in that Career Connections course. So middle school CTE validation or CTE licensure requirements are required for the weighted funds component of this course. So if you're interested in more of that, we can get much more specific one-on-one if you'd like. The last course that we really thought you'd want to know about is a Family and Consumer Sciences course code. So a middle school CTE validation or CTE licensure is required to earn the weighted funds for this particular Family and Consumer Sciences course code. But this transition in careers allows students to analyze interests, aptitudes, and skills to prepare for careers in transition through life. So this Family and Consumer Sciences course code is a great one for middle schools that are looking for ways to offer a separate course around career exploration. So those are kind of our three major course offerings that we wanted to put on the table for you all to think about today. If you're thinking about how you might offer a course at the middle school, even as early as 6th grade, these are three viable ways for you to be able to do that. And you're going to hear from 2 different school districts today who are leveraging 2 of the 3 of these. So before we move on, I just want to give anybody a chance. If you've got any questions that you want to drop in the chat, or if you want to go ahead and unmute and ask any questions about what I just covered, I want to get that cleared up before we allow our schools to present. That way everybody's in the same frame of reference before they jump into how they do this in their schools. Any questions? Okay. Well, without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to our Ohio Virtual Academy team, and you all just tell me when you'd like me to advance the slide.
Hey, thank you so much. Perfect. Well, good afternoon, everybody. I'm gonna try to stay in on a 12 for this this presentation. That was a good slide. I'm gonna have to find that somewhere. But I get the awesome opportunity to introduce the team at Ohio Virtual Academy for our middle school CTE, and hopefully we can, shed some light on how we do things. I went to a conference this summer, and the majority of the people there, Ohio Virtual Academy, we're virtual. And the biggest question is, can you do CTE virtually? And the answer is yes, you can. So in our middle school, we currently have in our 7th grade, we have just around 1,296 students in 7th grade taking exploration, and close to about 1,400 in our 8th grade taking career tech exploration. So that's what we're dealing with. Let me introduce the cool folks I get to work with. Tracy Aldrich is our CTE Family Communications Coordinator. Lauren Logan is our CTE Program Administrator, so she does a lot of the heavy lifting for us when it comes to all things CTE. Valerie Shetsky is our middle school CTE lead teacher, and she does an amazing job in that role. Myself, I'm Tarek West. I'm the CTE Academic Administrator, or the CTE Principal, however you like. And then we have Mr. Mark White, who is our CTE, or our career counselor, who is doing an amazing job with our students. And next slide, please. And from here, I'm going to throw it over to Mr. Mark White, who can talk a little bit about what we call our Skill Up OHVA. Mark, are you there?
Mark, I believe you're on mute.
Okay. Looks like he's coming on. You there, Mark?
Well, let's see. Every
All
time
right,
I unmuted, it remuted me. So let's see. It looks like I'm staying unmuted this time. Sorry about that, guys. So thanks everybody for coming. Just a couple things I'd like to share here. Skill Up OHVA is kind of a branding that we came up with a couple of years ago. And it kind of shows shows our students and our parents and everybody how we try to tie everything together. So we try to link academic skills and the employability skills, life skills, and the technical skills all together, and just kind of link all of those things together as we're talking to our parents and our students about what our CTE experiences that we offer are. If you want to go to that next slide, then. And part of what we do here, and I don't know how unique we are, but we actually start in kindergarten. And this is kind of one of my babies a little bit, is the K through 5 Cardi Club that we run, where we monthly meet with a group of 162 elementary school students and give them little projects that they do, explore some careers with them, kind of involve things that they see in their daily lives, and then give them some activities to do, just so that they're a little bit more prepared for when they get to the middle school and they take our career exploration classes. So just one of those steps that we kind of added, so that we're talking a little bit about career tech education through every grade as they work their way up into the middle school, and they can actually start doing some exploration classes at 7th grade. All of our students do an exploration class of all 16 pathways, and then we can move into high school, and that's when we actually get into our pathways. And I think that is everything I have, and I am now going to hand it off to Mrs. Shatsky, who's going to share the ins and outs of what really goes on all the time.
Can everybody hear me okay? Awesome. Well, thanks again for having us today. Again, my name is Valerie Shatsky, and I'm the lead teacher at the middle school level for our CTE program. And so they've both just kind of given you the high level view of how we're trying to implement our program at middle school. So this is going to go a little bit deeper now, hopefully give you some more details about how our program works and specifically what we're teaching at each level. So our goal and kind of our vision and why we believe that career explorations is not only important but works at the middle school level is obviously it's good for kids to explore all the different options they have, expose them to those options so that they have a better chance at choosing something that they are truly passionate about and will do well. And the earlier, the better that they can do that. And then again, it's also a good thing for our high school program that if we're exposing them before they actually become freshmen and then sophomores moving into a pathway, that they already are aware of our program, and that can hopefully help lead more students down that pathway to joining the actual CTE program at the high school level. So kind of a twofold there for our vision and why. Next slide, please. So this is just going to give you kind of where we were, our history of trying to implement this program, and then I'll lead into where we are today. But just to kind of give you a background, 4 years ago, we initially started doing career explorations as a club only at the 8th grade level. So it was optional for them to come to meet once a week, where they explored in different ways many different careers, and that was just as a club. The next year then we implemented an 8th grade course where all 8th graders were required to take this course. It was a year-long course, and it was kind of seen as their 5th required course on top of their core subjects. So all 8th graders at that point were getting that class. Then the next year, which was last year, we went ahead and introduced that at the 7th grade level, where both the 7th grade and 8th graders were taking this as their 5th required course. And again, at our school, that took 14 teachers to be able to do that, who were just teaching career explorations at both the 7th grade and 8th grade level. So that's where we've kind of come from. So the next slide then will give you a little bit more information about where we are now. So if we just focus on the 7th grade, the 7th grade is continuing this year with that same course, where we are exploring all 16 career clusters, taking them through each of those. We're discovering different careers, different skills, the training, the education, everything that's different within those career clusters, giving them a chance to explore a little on their own. And then that prepares them to then choose in the 8th grade level, if you want to go ahead and go to the next slide, to choose 2 of these 4 classes that are listed here. So basically they choose 2 and they will have one semester, another one the second semester. And you can see here, if you look at the list, that these are much more concentrated in these 4 areas. So we have the business and marketing explorations, healthcare explorations, IT, and then agriculture. So they're getting 2 of those 4 before they even enter into high school. Again, just to allow them to explore and be exposed to those specific career clusters and learn more about them. So that's the difference then between the 7th and 8th grade courses and what they're taking at OHVA. Next slide, please. So this slide just kind of summarizes really what I've just kind of shown you or talked about, but these are also some of the things that had to happen in order for that history to take place. That buy-in on number 2, though, was super important in our situation because this really, for lack of a better word, interrupted a little bit the middle school traditional course load. And so we needed buy-in from all areas to make it work and to make it, to make these kids excited about it. But we did end up getting that, which was very, very crucial in that. And then we just expanded, like I said, from the 8th grade to the 7th grade, and then again, focusing a little bit more in the 8th grade on some of those specific career clusters that allowed us to do that. And then in the future, hopefully next year, we are hoping that we can create what we're calling sort of a bridge course that allows these upcoming 9th graders next year to stay engaged. While they can't actually apply and be part of a CTE pathway as a freshman, we still want something for them to be involved in our CTE program in some matter. So we are hopefully creating that would be a new course for us next year. We don't have that completely figured out just yet, but that is the hope for next year, that we would have that bridge course for them to take as a 9th grader. Next slide. I talked briefly about this already, but the one reason we've been able to actually implement this and do it successfully is that we had buy-in, not just at that middle school level, but from all people involved, whether it was the staff, the middle school parents, the support staff with counselors and advisors. Of course, the administration, both at the middle school and the high school level, had to be on the same page to make this work. And then students too. We had to, there's a little bit of selling going on probably initially of them understanding why this was required and why this was important for them and what they were going to get out of it. So go to the next slide. I think this talks to that a little bit. This is some specific feedback from students who took our agricultural explorations course this past semester, which I actually didn't mention earlier is a project-based course. So not only were they enrolled in this career explorations, but it was a PBL course as far as the structure went. And so you can see from some of the feedback they gave us, they were, some of them, pleasantly surprised at what they didn't know and what they learned or what they walked away with understanding from that class. Specifically, they talk about, I forget which one it is. They liked, so the one talks about they liked doing the farm plan. It showed them how much more there was, how much more was involved when someone's running a farm. Like I said, it's a PBL course. One of the projects was they had to come up with a farm plan, so a business plan for a farm. And as an 8th grader, where some of them may not even know the ins and outs at all about a farm, this was pretty daunting to some of them. But once we were finished and we got through some of those hard parts of it, they really were able to see all that goes in it and had a much better understanding of that, especially from a career perspective. So that was neat to see. So I just thought it was important to share what some of the students were saying specifically about that course. And I think at least at the 8th grade level, for sure, I could have shared multiple slides that had similar feedback from the other courses as well. But I just wanted to speak to that because the buy-in was so important for sure. I think the next slide was something we wanted to share that we thought maybe just in preparing might be helpful. This is an example of the pacing guide that we use in the Ag Explorations course. And at this point, we've kind of broken this course down into 2 parts. Teaching it again this semester. We're doing PBL the last half, but we're exploring all the different pathways within the Ag Career Cluster first. to really get them to know and understand the different parts of the ag career cluster. And then we dive into the PBL project towards the last half of the class, and give them that chance to explore, work on that farm plan, and then see what they've come up with at the end. So just wanted to throw that in there as maybe a little bit of that gives you, some of the nitty-gritty details of how we're running at least one of these classes, which is the ag explorations. And then I think we threw in a slide, which is the next one, that's just the course descriptions for some of these courses. I think they're all on there except for the 7th grade course. And that was just for reference if we needed it. And then we're just wanting to open it up to questions that either myself or anybody else on our team could answer. So I think that's all I have on my end, unless we have questions.
Is anyone currently on the network call doing something similar to OHVA at all? Feel free to, raise your hand or drop it in the chat if you are. Where you're really leveraging that Career Connections course to be kind of the intro to the pathways that they can continue, the students can continue on into. Bueller. Well, I think I really appreciate you guys sharing your course descriptions and the pacing guides. I think that's going to be helpful once folks start really wrapping their brain around, okay, I want to implement a course. What's the best way to do it? I think just the general idea of how you approach having students use a project-based system of exploring these pathways is so smart. Any questions? Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for sharing. We really appreciate it. I'm sure there's going to be some in the survey, so we'll be sure to reach back out to you with those questions. So that was the Career Connections course example. And so now we'd love to introduce our Noble local school partners to talk with you a little bit about the more general career exploration course. So we're going to turn it over to our Noble local partners. Tasha, were they able to join okay?
Yes, let's see. Ashley, make sure you're unmuted. Let me see if I can find her. Ashley Bates. Ashley, calling Ashley. I don't have any emails that she couldn't. Let's see. Well, I do know that Noble Local is actually implementing, as Cassie said, the course that does not require any of the extensive licensures for the course. So Noble Local, I'll go ahead and speak to them a little bit because I actually am a little bit familiar with some of the work that they're doing. Their career exploration course actually is involving several different initiatives that their school district is a part of. They have a Green Acres Farm complex on their campus there in Noble County. They've got food and consumer sciences, STEM, coding, design, music, theater, and art, 7 Habits with Lighthouse Team, project and problem-based learning. Ashley actually teaches this course in collaboration with another teacher that actually has the licensure. So they're actually implementing both of the other 2 courses that Cassie was speaking about. And they really do try to pull several different ideas in to these different courses at the lower grade levels to build up into pathways into the higher ones. So as they are preparing their students there, they are zeroing in on communication, team building, self-management, creativity, and design. So if you want to go ahead to the next slide, Cassie. Ashley actually teaches the 7 habits. If you've guys heard of the 7 habits of highly effective people, they really are trying to zero in on those and as employability skills. That's a difficult, part to be able to implement. And they do several. Oh, there's Ashley. She's calling me. Hold on one second. Hello, Ashley. Are you on our call today? She's in the waiting room.
Tasha, we might need you to just keep going because there's just no one in the waiting room.
There's no one in the waiting room. Okay. I got you on a new link and I'll keep talking. Go to your email. That's okay, dear. Okay, continuing the 7 habits of highly effective people. They zero in on those things as the employability skills for their team. One thing that I also know that Noble Local School District participates in is the problem and problem-based learning. They actually have taken, if you look at the BB2C participation there, they actually have taken a whole school approach to implementing problem scenarios. And they actually have on a monthly implementation with multiple teachers across the district. UJEEP is actually an Ohio Oil and Gas Energy and Education Program. Have you joined us, Ashley, yet?
I am here now, Tasha. I am so
Thank
sorry.
you. That's all right.
I'm so glad you guys had these for reference. So I can jump right in. Again, my apologies. I guess I had the wrong link getting in here. I'm Ashley Bates, representative for Noble Local School District. So we talked a little bit about the habits then, I guess. Or where should I jump in? I'm so sorry.
That's all right. Start with the habits.
Okay, so my focus for the district, this is my first year at Noble Local, first year teaching, actually, I should say. So I have a specials class with our 7th graders, and we also offer the 7 habits class with our 6th graders through Miss Tamara Shockling. Since I'm not presenting, if someone could click the 7 habits link, it should open up for us, and I can briefly kind of talk about the focus of my class and then backtrack to all the good things that are happening in our district. So thank you so much. So I had heard of the 7 habits before I was hired, but I had never implemented them in my own life or researched them in detail. Our district as a whole has embraced the Leader in Me program, which is based on these 7 habits of highly effective people. We're pretty blessed, I would say, to have the digital resources that we do. I lean to those to build my curriculum for the class, but these are kind of the building blocks of that. So habit 1 being proactive. We talk a lot about for our middle schoolers being proactive in a way that we take space to choose our responses to any given situation. I feel like as middle school educators, we could all understand that impulse control is something that, that social emotional learning side is happening and developing in middle school. So that's where we focus on being proactive and taking charge. We often feel like we're not in charge of our own lives in middle school and we don't have a choice and everyone's telling us what to do. So we try to explore that avenue and open up student voice within the district in the projects that we have, not only in habits class, but across the board. Begin with the end in mind. I wish I had a little more of these skills in middle school and high school. So just planning ahead, not just what your teacher is giving you either. So building just roadmaps for how you want to get into our high school program. So I probably missed that introduction, but our goal at the middle school is to align with our high school career pathways. So we begin to explore that in 6th and 7th grade so that our 7th and 8th grade students that take specials classes with our high school know before they get there what they are looking forward to and perhaps even what career options that they would like to explore. Putting first things first, we just talk about prioritizing and planning ahead in a way that you are not bombarded with or thrown off base by anything that happens in your life, perhaps like their teacher did not do by making sure she had the right link. So sometimes I even do those things in the moment, just little things that we always ask for grace and mercy, and recognizing that we are practicing the habits with the kids. Thinking win-win. I did hear Tasha introducing our project-based and problem-based learning that we use across the district. So think win-win, actually habits 4, 5, and 6. These 3 habits really align with our project and problem-based learning. We're talking about teamwork, synergy, empathy. Habit 5 is probably one of my favorites for us to study with the kids because it is sometimes a difficult concept for adults to practice, let alone a middle schooler. So seeking first to understand and then to be understood, we're looking at empathetic listening, eye contact, pausing for understanding and not just giving the answer. Making sure that you're really feeling what the person is feeling. So those are wonderful. We hear think win-win a lot in kind of our everyday lives, and it's a nice avenue for the kids to see that. I think especially in my classroom or any of the teachers that are incorporating the Leader in Me program, that it doesn't have to be like a dictatorship. We're used to seeing that kind of environment. So it's nice to see them building ideas for our classroom. So I've actually turned over a lot of problems to them, and that ties into our problem-based learning. But our classroom and our school district have problems, and I'll revisit that idea in a minute. And they can see that not just benefiting themselves, but it benefits the teachers, the other staff members, even their community to some extent, some of these projects we're working on. But this is kind of the building block of what our district is focused on with the 7 habits and the Leader in Me programs. So just to give you guys a better idea, and that will be there. I think that anyone can open it. So if you want to look at it in a little more detail. Sorry to be jumping around. So with my other focuses in the habits class, giving students a voice is really, really important to our district and kind of the purpose of my class. We do a lot of exploration. The Lighthouse team is a club extension of the Leader in Me program. So this is actually happening before or after school. Sometimes during the day, we have different events that they coordinate. They do wonderful things. It is a student-led team. We have 3 staff facilitators, and in the Christmas season, their most recent project was a food drive that they coordinated and created Christmas food baskets for community families. The students created the graphics around the school. They created the drive information that then all of the student body pulled together these food drive resources. And then on the day of, the Lighthouse team themselves compiled the baskets and then gave those to the community members that were in need of them. So that was their most recent big project. And the kids just love seeing the effect that they have. We also have some other student Lighthouse team members that have created their own community outreach programs. We have one 6th grade student who coordinates our veteran service program. He and his classmates have been working, I think 2 years now, nonprofit enough to purchased their own zero-turn mowers. For a sixth grader, that's an impressive feat in itself. But they basically go around to community veterans' homes and landscape for them. They take care of their lawns on a weekly basis. Not now, thank goodness. But then they also do special Veterans Day, Memorial Day functions with them as well. So the Lighthouse team has already kind of expanded. It's really interesting to see the new ideas that kids have on a day-to-day basis. The service days I do within my class. My habits class rotates every 9 weeks. And we also are coordinating a much larger building-wide service day for the end of the year. So the service days in my class, because they're more frequent, I do what is simple. We take a Google survey, and I think I have that on the next slide. I'll give that to you too. But basically, I ask the kids what problems they see. So what is a challenge that your district or community is currently facing? That's it. We just leave things open-ended as we can. And so that would be the first question. And then the next question is, how do we solve it? So this is what they came up with from the last 9 weeks. On the left, you see our students pulling together the entire class. We had so many ideas that we actually fit 2 into one day and had several service days. This 9 weeks, despite all of our remote and snow days, these kids for my 9 weeks session have a lot of great ideas, and I'm looking forward to sharing those with everyone in the future too. We currently are going to be in the works of a clothing drive for our community. So again, on the left, you see the last 9 week students putting together the Christmas program for our teachers. So they basically set up the staff room and created a Christmas party for the staff. So needless to say, everyone was very grateful for that. And then they also realized there was a problem for the student body, that litter, basically. We live in a pretty rural area, and some of our campus is kind of open to the public, and other parts of it are just, kids make messes. So they decided that they wanted to clean up the area and clean up the trash around campus. So I've never seen middle schoolers be so excited about trash. And not only that, but like, who has the biggest bag? Oh, mine's heavier than, little things that we take for granted that they were very passionate about. So not to jump around too much, but this 9 weeks, we are going to have a clothing drive. My current session, they would like to focus on a bullying campaign. We've already met with a vape consultant. That's probably not the right term. So we have vape sensors around the school, but they're focusing on ways to keep vaping out of school or out of middle schoolers' hands. So very real world problems, and they're coming up with these great real world solutions. So I'm super proud of that. And then my other challenge I'll leave for the end here, but these are just ways that you can incorporate them for your own classes or district. Let me think. I know that I missed the very first slide, so I'm really sorry that I didn't get the chance to brag within the district. But if you wouldn't mind backing up, I can give a little more info on the exploration side there. So I'm sure Tasha kind of touched base on the preparation. So our high school offers a multitude of career pathways, focusing on these 21st century skills we hear so much about on a regular basis, kind of buzzwords right now, so I won't hammer into those. But what I would like to brag about is the opportunities that we see. So the exploration that we currently have, we are in the process of expanding to a Green Acres Farm complex, which is just amazing. It offers so many opportunities for our high school career pathways, for our VOAG department, but we are now expanding in the elementary side. So the high schoolers have 10 head of cattle that they are currently caring for. And oh, I love the little leaguer idea in the chat. Thank you for that. And then for our middle school and elementary, we are adding some chickens and different things there. So the Green Acres Farm Complex, we offer ag exploration at the 7th and 8th grade level for every 7th and 8th grader, because it offers so many opportunities. We kind of think of farming as, we're in a farming community, and we kind of think of it as one-sided. But our career counselor, Chris Shepner, and I had a great discussion that when these kids experience the ag program in 7th and 8th grade, they can also see the ties to the business end of the model. So our district is very business minded. We have the Business Advisory Council that Chris Shepner works directly with, and she's connected me with several members. So if your district has something along those lines, definitely utilize them. But the Green Acres Farm Complex, with their agriculture program, offers the students a chance to see how to tie into business management, entrepreneurship, the social media aspect of it, our marketing and advertising, I should say, because those are all one and the same now. And what other? Oh, and we offer a lot of multimedia tie-ins through the next following courses. So the farm is kind of the opener for many pathways. We also have food and consumer sciences with Julie Harper. She teaches not just how to cook, but how to manage it as a business. So the students actually within the past year have created their own food truck. So she facilitates that and shows them the skills to create food. So they're not only doing just safe food handling in the kitchen, but they are then facilitating the till. They are monitoring, guest proximity. They are doing every element of running a food truck business. It's really, really impressive. And I believe that she is expanding that next year as well. Our STEM coding and design staff tie in closely to the multimedia for the farm. So we have Mike Leggett's, Bill Rogers that teach both STEM and coding classes. And we also offer at the middle school level just an introduction to the outdoors. So it's really just kind of the building blocks and the stepping stones to get those students exposure to the different careers within our area and within our high school pathways. Our music, theater, and art department, they tie in a lot to our design and problem-based learning. So Madison Heddleson is actually our art department teacher and has now created with Miss Kathy Antle theater department. So the two are kind of in the middle there because they've tied together, and in the past year created a fall musical that now will be recurring. The students loved it. So little things like that to just get them exposure and get them excited. Thank you, Tasha. I don't believe I've missed anybody super important, but if anybody has any questions, I think that I've gotten everything. And the last one would just be your challenges. What are some problems that your students can solve for you? That's what I try to use as my warm-ups on a daily basis for my class. So that's kind of my bell ringer or my warm-up. What are some problems that we can be solving, and what resources do you have?
Thank you, Ashley. And thank you for doing a much better job of explaining than I could ever do.
I'm sorry if I rushed too much. So
that's okay. So everybody, you've heard from 2 different schools and a couple of different ways in which to go about this for our middle school students. One thing, the next that we would like to share with you guys is the concept of the more you know. So I believe either Sarah or Cassie will be bringing us some curated resources for everyone to take a look at.
Yeah, so we always like to provide some additional reading opportunities for you all on these topics. So I think we might just be a little bit out of order on the agenda, but those Did You Know, The More You Know additional resources can be found linked out in this PowerPoint, which for those of you that may not know where our network meetup information lies, I'll drop a link in the chat, or if one of my teammates has the opportunity to do that. Our event and resources webpage has these downloadable presentations so that you can have all these links on your own device too. So one thing we wanted to make sure that you knew exist is InfoOhio has a whole curated set of career exploration resources that if you are teaching a career exploration course in the middle school or thinking about doing so and you need some materials for your teachers, check out InfoOhio. They have a whole set of career exploration resources. There's also 2 other linked out resources that you can explore on your own if you're interested, that also have materials for teachers here that we've included in the Did You Know? Along the same line of additional reading for all of you that are participating, thank you, Sarah, for dropping the link in the chat to where to find this presentation. We also try to quickly give you some information on things that you've said to us you want more information on as a network. So again, the importance of filling out that survey and telling us where your pain points are will help us respond to give you some more information. One thing that we heard was, hey, we'd really like to know more about tech cred. So, in this network, we explore any and everything that deals with the very general term of career readiness, and industry recognized credentials are one of those topics that can really help contribute a student's graduation pathway and be prepared for an in-demand job. So Tech Cred is a state-sponsored program that incentivizes employers to upskill their staff in technology-related industry recognized credentials. And the reason we bring this up to you is there is an opportunity for school districts or educational service centers or state support teams that have their own kind of organization ID you are an employer. That organization is an employer. Schools are employers. You can use Tech Cred to upskill your teaching staff in an industry recognized credential area. So if you're a school district that's like, man, I'd really love to get a teacher in here that, can, be fluent in, fill in the blank technology credential that's on Tech Cred's website. You can apply as an employer to be reimbursed up to $2,000 per credential. And I believe it's a $30,000 maximum that an employer can participate in credit or in Tech Cred. So we wanted to make sure that you were connected to that opportunity per round, Tyler says, which is great. The other thing to think about is if you've got some really close employer partners, and hopefully you've got, employers that are coming to mind right now, this would be a good thing to connect them to, not only for their own employees, but also if you've got an opportunity where a student is placed with an employer in a work-based learning, and they're willing to take advantage of Tech Cred to upskill your student who is their employee, that's another use case for Tech Cred. So, think about putting that information in the hands of your employer partners. Think about how you as a school or you as an educational service center might leverage Tech Cred to upskill teaching staff and educational service center staff, state support team staff in technology-focused credential areas. So we wanted to make sure you had an opportunity to be connected in that. So I'm going to ask for you all to just kind of drop any questions that you might have in the chat. And if Travis is on, we'll let him talk a little bit about the Career Connections Conference and share a little bit about our request for proposals. And if
yes, thanks, Cassie. Thank you for everybody to join this afternoon. I know we got 2 minutes left, so I'll quickly try to provide you as much information as I can in the short amount of time we have left. But we are currently working on our Career Connections Conference, as you can see on the screen, that is going to take place Wednesday, July 27th. Is being hosted out at the Hilton by Easton. But we're currently looking for individuals or organizations to help do some presentations for our Career Connections Conference on that day. So really quickly, I'm going to put in the chat, if you're interested in presenting, or if you know somebody who would be presenting, please feel free. Oh, thank you, Tasha, for putting that in there. To fill out that survey, put what you present on. We'll be reaching out to you if we feel like your topic and your information is a good fit for our conference for that day. There's also some opportunities that we may have this summer for some virtual summer learning series. Get some feedback for that too, to see if your presentation would be a good fit. So if you're interested in learning more or presenting, feel free to reach out to us. But if you're interested in presenting, please fill out that link and we'll be in touch with you shortly. Thank you.
Thank you. And as you can see, there are a couple of links in the chat for you to use, both Cassie and I have put in the proposal link if you're interested in presenting. And there's always great ideas that everybody wants to hear about when we're doing this kind of work. And there's a lot of people that are the lone wolf in their school district that are trying to implement this work as well. So it's great for them to be able to participate in conferences and hear from you and the ways in which you're doing this. Also, there's a feedback link. You can click the link on your screen, and we've added the link into the chat as well. We really do want to hear from you. What did you think about today? What are the ways in which you are implementing career exploration for your middle school students? And what would you like for us to address in the future? So that brings us to 3:30. We'd really like to thank both on all of our presenters today, both at the Ohio Valley or Ohio Virtual Academy and also with Noble Local Schools. Everybody's doing some great things. Thank you so much. Please make sure you take some time to fill out our feedback link. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, guys. Hi, Cassie.
Ruth, when are we getting dinner?
Oh my goodness, I could get down there in time for dinner if you want. If I leave now. Okay.